I am Lung La of BluntCut MetalWorks, and I've been doing a lot of heat treat research and development. And in the process, I came up with what I call is crystal weaving foundation, which is the way that it's a problem solving or construction how you build crystal. In this context, is I'm heat treating steel, so the crystal involved would be mainly iron carbon crystal. And anyway, so the goal of the conceptual goal is to build a solid, I mean in this case a lattice, volume. It's strong but at the same time tough. And because each crystal is pretty much, say in steel, you have about 4 iron and 1 carbon. But if you're in the arrangement, you can have 1 carbon could be in the middle, and you can have 8 iron in the corner, and depend on the shape and the energy state. But that is too much theoretical. Anyway, so to build something that's strong and tough at the same time, which is elusive, or a lot of people want that. So what happened is there are a lot of complexity with alloy and all the other variables, so I removed them all out, and I only kept very simple, pretty smaller unit. In this case, 1 crystal. I'll type, and then they can convert to another crystal type. And then when when you stack them together, you have a lattice. And so whatever I put those reduce or simplify model into a combinatorial optimization graph. But anyway, that also mathematics but in that graph, I computed out, and what would be the optimal. In this case, it would be the maximum value that I can get out of it. And so there are 2 goals. One is if you have one carbon link, I like to call it link because it's an electromagnetic kind of suspension mode linked with iron. So you want as many of those carbon to iron as possible. So therefore, you want to build a solid that have as many interconnection as possible, instead of you have vacancy or gap or other thing in there. So you don't want that. And the second thing is how you build it, because crystal can grow, and then also they can change size, in this case dimension. So you want, if something, you want to expand it evenly, like I say like an orange, you want it to grow like outward, so the radius minimize the radius growth. So that way, because now you put that unit into a larger system, have many units, evenly grow. They don't put less. They put less stress or strain on each other when it grows. So that is from the math model. But then you want to go to apply it, look into steel, and well, the steel is when you heat up the steel, they in this kind of, they call FCC is a phase center cubic, and where the carbon in the middle, and pretty much for iron on a planar mode, like on a planar. If you cut, you draw a sheet, and you have carbon in the middle, and you have 4 in the cubic, not rectangular. And so if you cut a paper through it, you're going to see that. But when they convert into what the strength of steel is, the BCT, and this body center tetrahedral, that means tetragonal is, instead of the carbon here, they offset it a little bit into a different plane. And so now, because of that, the repulsion of all the corner, the thing shifted. So in shape, and it elongated. So a lot of stress put on it. And so that what the conventional heat treatment is pretty much you hope that as many of them get converted as much as possible, but you don't want gap, you don't want all sort of other thing happen to it. But my insolvent is rather than try to do it in one step, because you only after one shot in this case, because one you can, if you convert all the crystal from FCC to BCT, then the strain, the stress, and they put against the boundary or against each other so much. So sure, you can mitigate it with using thermal contraction. In this case, let's say sub-zero or cryogenic. However, you can only mitigate or fix a small percent of it. And after that, that's it. You're stuck with what we call the retained arsenide, is the FCC failed to convert because of the strain, the dislocation too high. And so, and also no room, therefore you're stuck. And so, and what crystal weaving foundation, CWF, is solving two steps. First, the template try to build the frame, the structure. I mean, in this case, yeah, the outer structure, instead of grow everything at once into the one shot, you just grow the structure, and then if you only grew it, and then as it grew it, and then this push, of course, the dislocation, they push the new formation instead of go lined up with the growing crystal, lattice, it changed orientation. And so in essence, you could spiral or you could weave, you could cross hatch it. So this, the crystal, the lattice go this way. However, you don't let it grow so much, then it pour. See, this direction is as it's converted, energy got pushed into it, and also spatial-wise or dimension-wise constrained. So you want to constrain when you stop to grow, and then in that, but this direction is free. It's less stress. So the driving force push it, but however, as it stress this phase, it's pulling. So you want to initiate a pulling formation of this lattice. So you end up with in this thing orthogonal, but however, it could be a little off angle, but however, it could turn, or more like a spiral. However, you spiraling around. So, but if you if you give a driving force a lot of energy, then you go right across the grain, or very long. So that's what you have to do. You barely give it the deactivation. They just collapse the FCC into the BCT. They just collapse in there, and you stop because the dislocation, the strain in the system won't allow to deactivate. So that's why you have to control the temperature. In this case, the temperature is the activator or the deactivator. And so, and the step number 2, all these spiral or weave create pocket of FCC. In this case, the austenite, it cannot convert. You create pocket of it. And now step number 2 is dealing with the pocket. And so, and what building pocket pretty much is, I guess we'll explain I will explain the actual heat treatment sequence, and then I will give the explanation what that step does, instead of going to the explanation why first. I just go into the heat treatment itself. Excuse me. Okay, before I get into the actual step, of course, these one, and when you heat treat, you play with heat, a lot of heat. When you austenite to put carbon in solution there, that's high heat. In this case, could be 1500 plus degree or up to 2200 Fahrenheit. That's very hot. So, and now you deal with something for this crystal weaving, you're going to deal with hot oil. So I'm going to put it, one in my post there. You can the link. But basically, what is the oil when you heat it up? And the key point, the point of the oil, most of the oil, in this case, heavy or light vegetable oil, the smoke point is between 400 to 480 Fahrenheit. So that when you see smoke coming out, that means the oil, if you're cooking, that when it deteriorating, that's too hot. But that is cooking, where the smoke coming out. And then the other point is flash point. Flash is when you can certainly see when you cook. Sometimes you see the fire dancing on the pan, dancing around a little bit. That's at about 600 Fahrenheit. And then combustion is when all the vapor going up. And now at about 700 degrees, now the fire is run away. It's going to go, and you cannot. You can only suppress it by starving the oxygen. But other than that, it's not going to work with just water, because now you have a runaway situation. So, though temperature is important, because in the crystal weaving, the temperature you're going to heat up the oil bath, it's about between 475 degrees. And lower. So most of the time you go about 465 or 450, sometimes even 430. It depends on the steel you're working with. So when you heat up the oil bath, just be there. Don't walk away. It's not like an oven or kiln or something you can walk away and it's pretty much brick. This thing is a field. Okay, so now we're going to heat treat. When you prepare your blade, or you do all that other pre-step, normalization, grain refinement, everything else, this crystal weaving heat treat is just about hardening when your steel go below the Pearlite Nose. So in other words, if you have a shallow hardening steel, you need to quench it to something like a Part 50 or brine or whatsoever, to bring it below 900 degrees first. Now and then you can enter this heat treated sequence. While like AEBL or other deep hardening steel, then you can quench directly into the hot oil bath. So you just take it out of the oven and the foil, or leave the foil, and quench into the hot oil bath. So here is step. Tuck it out, and now say let's pick an example of something that you don't need to try to quickly avoid the Pearlite Nose, and so now you can quench directly into 450 to 465 hot oil, and this bath should be about at least 2 gallons, or maybe just 10 liters. But I use about 20 liters. Because I would tell you why. Just a second. And when I quench it in, and then you stir it just like you quench normally, after about 10 seconds, then I can do side to side. What happened is you say, well, side to side uneven cooling will warps. Well, the oil temperature is really high right now, and your martensite from austenite to martensite conversion happen very small percent, or haven't even happened yet. So you are okay. So therefore, you cool it down. So you stir around for about a minute. So because 30 seconds would do, but depend on the thick thermal mass of your workpiece, the thickness of your workpiece. And so after that, and you get and you keep and then you hang this blade in the oil bath, and then you can do the next one, Yeah, you do a few of them, but always do the one with the bigger thermal mass first. That way, it might raise the temperature of the oil bath tiny bit. and so and then the subsequent smaller one, it doesn't affect the overall the volume. So and now you put a lid on the oil bag or aluminum foil. You cover it up. The objective here, what I work out is the cooling rate is about 1 Fahrenheit per minute. So do what you have to do. The critical cooling is the first 100 degree. From, in this case, say 465 to 365. Cool it at 1 degree per minute. Faster, not good. Slower, I didn't see any gain. I did try like 4 days cooling. I didn't gain anything because I think depend on the crystal and the force. I can only slow down, and you can only get the cell, the unit cell collapse to a certain length. You cannot. I mean, the driving forces when they collapse and just like domino, they go like that, right? So that is the length. So therefore, if you super slow cooling, that means take a while for one of the group go like that, rather than shorten the unit. So that's what I found. What I found don't mean that that will be it, but actually you should explore and experiment, and then post and share your findings and if the improvement. And so in the slow cooling, that's what I'm talking about, pushing and pulling. You building that outer structure, you trap pocket of austenite. And in about an hour later, I mean, I use the ammo, the large ammunition can. I mean, the army surplus ammunition can there for my oil bag. So a big one, I can just close the lid, just put the lid on it. Don't use its own lid because the rubber seal will get messed up. Use aluminum foil. And then an hour later, remove it and let it convection happen, and the cooling going to go a little faster. But that's okay. But if you want to keep 1 degree a minute and you got to keep it consistent, it will work. Have to be oil. Because the cooling needs to be continually dropped and uniformly. It's not the same as like you put in the oven or you have some element and do something temperature control and just like a kiln. It won't work because as soon as one you convert to monazite, you don't want to give it energy to decompose the cell, to precipitate, to cementize or other things. So that's why you only drop the temperature. Very important. And then after, you just got the thermometer there, and then until the oil fall below 200 degrees, you take it out, air cool it, and after that you can wash it, and you can, that in this case take about 3 to 4 hours total for the cooling. And after that you wash it, you can lay your blade around. The blade very soft. If the blade really hard, that means you do something wrong. The blade still, you trap so much retained austenite at this point, including carbon blade, like W2 or WN52-100. In convention heat treatment, when you get to this stage, you call, oh God, I'm totally messed up. No, you just did the first step. And so after you wash it, you can leave overnight, or you can leave it for a week. I left some workpiece for a week or two. Make no difference because it's chemistry. I mean, it's physics. How are they going to convert? It's not like they just going to, go to migrate, or they're going to do something funny when you're not looking. And at this point, of course, you can strain. You have lots of time to strain. From the 200 degree down, you can just strain whatever, and it's very pliable because the ductility is so high, because austenite is really easy to move, and also because the structure there is not really a solid block that it won't allow you movement. Okay, and then now you can This the part that you put. Now you take the blade and you put into liquid nitrogen or dry ice. I only use liquid nitrogen because it's convenient to me. But I think there are a lot of steel with less alloy or less. Yeah, usually in this case carbide volume. Really, I use the carbide volume because that gives stress because you glue the lattice around it. There are a lot of interface to these particles. There are a lot of push, jarring, and that stress that you need. So therefore, you need lower temperature to reduce the atomic radius. So thermal contraction, you want as much as you can. In this case, now you thermal contraction, and so cryo temperature is good. You put in there for 3-4 minutes, and take it out, wash it, and surprise, the blade still quite soft. Well, now in conventional, some people will say, okay, I got some garbage now. You're not done. At this point, if you leave the blade like that, no, it's not going to run away from you. It's just going to play like that. I did that too. So it's okay to leave it overnight or whenever you convenient, you work around it. I say a year, but I haven't tried a year yet. So when you put in the cold, the atomic radius contract. I mean, that's why you have contraction. The radius reduces to contraction. The structure, the outer structure, we talked about the cooling step there, it's locked. It can only reduce tiny bit, but it's locked. But the pocket is more volumetric, more like a solid lump. It can contract further. But as it contracts further, it have uneven point. The uneven point going to be jarring against the outer structure. So they're going to crashing or pushing each other. No point going to be, let's call it calving, but they actually break or changing it. So they initiate the change. You say, okay, it's no longer stable with the jarring because too much energy. There's no space. And then you say, okay, but anyway, when you return to room temperature, well, nothing happened because you don't have anything to activate the change. So they stay like that. So at this point, it's okay to, and then the next convenient time, you I use oil, but you can use the toaster oven. Put your blade in a 275 Fahrenheit degree oil for about 5 minutes. You can put in the oven for 10, 15, depend on your convection over and not, and the air and the flux. But make sure your toaster oven don't fluctuate way too much. If it flux over 50-degree flux, you compromise the quality of the outcome of your blade at this point. So anyway, this start out your oil. So, and then you can test it later. 275 oil for 5 minutes. Take it out, wash it. And pretty much at 275, what happened is, see, when you go to cryogenic or even sub-zero, the carbon they're breaking, actually they convert into a tiny little carbide because they are in the high stress point with high energy. So they convert into HCP shape or hexagonal, and other people call epsilon or ethna carbide. It got converted at that time. At the same time, the thermal expansion to the outer structure, of course now, because something outer, they can freely expand. The same thing, the pocket also can expand. The pocket, now certainly they have room for the pocket to convert from austenite to monazite. And then that when as soon as you give it room, they activate the conversion, and then when you cool it down, that's it, it's complete. They're going to be still small percent of retained austenite, very small. And sometimes some of the alloy, when I do the trip again, go down to cryogenic, and then go back to 275. Sometimes I see a little gain, but my Rockwell tester and I didn't see much gain except for a quarter Rockwell. But again, the Rockwell is an iffy thing. Sometimes I got half of Rockwell, but that could be reading error. So I just call, okay, maybe a diminishing return right now. So I just not going to repeat that too many process, too many steps like that. But you're welcome to do multiple time and see what the gain, and especially if you have a electron scanning microscope or some other more sophisticated, even the atom probe or something. And at this point, say for this point for carbon, I mean your Rockwell is going to be very high. And well, I mean about 68 Rockwell, and or 67 depend on the few things how you prepare it. And similarly, like say for steel of high alloy or high carbide like CPMM4 or 10V, you're going to see that would be in the close to 70 Rockwell. And for all these things, the Rockwell to be very high. And of course, the initial reaction of conventional is right away you temper. All my testing is, at this point, I find it optimal, wear resistant, and very tough. Meaning that it can do a lot of cutting that you normally would, and also support some chopping also, which is the impulse impact. So you temper it. I mean, if you were going to flex it a lot, the spine, you temper basically to give it more, say, flux for the spine or something. But they have nothing. You're not really improving the actual edge itself. So if you use this edge and if it's instantly chipped like cookies or something, then it, yeah, I get or glass. I mean, then it will be bad. But if you initially sharpen it, like say 15 degrees psi or less, and you use it and you see a ripple before chip, that means you are at pretty much ideal balance point, balance for the edge tool. So now instead of say I want more toughness, no, you want more volume, or in this case by thickness, geometry. Instead of 15 degree, and if you chop and it ripple and chip, you increase to 18 or 20. And so the thickness or the angle is the stiffness or the strength is cubic. So from 15 degree to 20 degree, you have like over 2.5 times the stiffness. So therefore you increase the geometry if need to. So what I'm saying is temper only if you want ductility, meaning that plastic movement. So thing that you can actually burnish and move the things. And so that thing that like about iron, you soften it a lot in this case. And as soon as you temper it, a lot of these small carbide that give you that in that little spacing, it go away quickly. It turn into cementite. So therefore, knowing what you are trading for to get the ductility. Ductility meaning that you have cementite and ferrite. And ferrite is, soft as iron, basically. So very soft. And so if the more percent of ferrite on the edge, well, the faster it's going to wear. Even though you call ductility as tough, but it's just ductile. It's just going to fold or it's going to wear away quickly when they run into sand. So that is the summary of the, I guess will be my one short version instead of I plan to do multiple long and boring. This is short one. And when time permit, I'm going to make a video and to carry to this step, to my setup. And go back to about the, how I heat up my oil. I use the deep fryer burner, 100,000 BTU. I blast at my ammo can with the thermometer sticking in until I got to the right temperature. Then I'm ready for the step one. All right. Well, thank you, and hopefully that your additional explore and finding, and you're willing to share with the world.